Welcome to Gab and Jam, episode 150.
All right. What are we talking about today?
Our topic today is goals, why less is more, for the D.I.Y. Rockstar.
Yeah, so I always think about what Herm Edwards said, right? He said that a goal, let's say
a wish.
A goal without a plan is a wish.
Gotcha. Goal without a plan is a wish.
That's right. I
was going to do it at the opposite.
That's right. So you got to make sure that as we start talking about goals and trimming them down, that when you go to the hilt with all your goals, right? Are you gonna have a plan for each one of them? Right.
Good. You're already.
So you have to think about that part.
That ties into the first. Okay, so this is follow up to our 19 for 2019, 20 for 2020. We did 2 episodes, beginning of each year, and I thought it was a really cool idea, and it was a place to start. But the more we are into 2020, especially, the more we had to reassess. Especially if you look at the last episode, episode 149, you see we had to reassess a lot of the things we were doing. And so this kind of is looking at how my thinking changed when it came to what goals.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why. And you've already talked a little bit about the first one. 4 reasons why when it comes to goals, less is more, is it allows you to focus more accurately.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse for me than just, I guess that's the way the vision board was for me before. It was just, there was just so much stuff on it. And I think I got overwhelmed just even thinking about the 20 for 20. It's like, oh my goodness, for 2020.
Yeah.
And then we, it had to change anyway. So that was kind of frustrating too. It's like you see all the stuff you said you were going to accomplish.
Right.
And then some of that stuff we can't even get to it because it's not our choice.
Right. I mean, because that's the difference between people who accomplish goals to me and people who don't, is that people who accomplish goals plan to do it. Mm-hmm. People who don't depend on luck.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like, whereas people who accomplish goals realize that there's no such thing as luck.
Right.
It's all about preparation and planning.
Yeah, that's right.
At the end of the day,
when the opportunity comes, you're already prepared. You already have something in place.
For all the rest of that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. So again, if there are too many goals that you can't come up with a plan, then that's probably an indication that you need to pare down. So I like that. That was good.
Right.
Good segue. The next reason why, when it comes to goals, less is more, is that it's easier to track when you have a smaller set of goals.
Yeah.
And that was another thing. I was looking at all the 20 for 20, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I just was all over the place.
Yeah.
Whether it was, at one time we were more concerned with stats. So it was logging. As you guys know, we have profiles on almost every social media platform known to man. I think we're at 35 now, and we just put up a TikTok.
Yeah.
And there are a couple more I just found out about.
Right.
That, so at one time I was going through and tracking, the stats on all of those so that I could kind of build. That was part of the 20 for 20, is to increase our followers on platforms.
Yeah.
And now that's just off the list. It's just too much. It takes up, a good portion of the day just to even log in and see what's going on and see if there's been difference. And then if there is a decrease, then what really can you do about it? I guess that's the other part. That was frustrating.
Yeah.
And then for a goal, after a while, it's like, okay, once we had got to, I think we were at like 27,000 across the platform, our major platform.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, now it's time to do something with that.
Right.
To just shift the focus. So it makes it easier to track when I say, okay, what we're trying to track now is what's going on with SugarFit. That's kind of like the big goal that needs to be tracked. So that makes tracking easier. The next, number 3, reason why when it comes to goals, less is more, is it also makes planning easier.
Yeah.
There aren't but so many hours in a day.
Yeah. And plans are necessary. Just going back to your point too, is because of the simple fact that along the way of your goals, you need to make sure that you're on course. Mm-hmm, and so it's sort of like directions, right? If did you take this turn? Did you take this turn? Did you take this turn? And so that means that along the way, you're actually gonna accomplish little goals, because that's all part of the planning. Is that you got to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then you're where you need to be, and so you will accomplish those little goals along the way. So that does give you that does give you those little victories. You know, so planning definitely, you know, it is important for that because of the fact that it does keep you focused and on track, and then it will let you know that if you're kind of looking at, you say, I got planned for this goal, I got planned for this goal, I got planned for this goal, you realize there's 24 hours in a day, what can I realistically accomplish?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you can realistically start to prioritize your goals.
Yeah.
You know, because it's not to say, okay, you can't have 10 goals. It's just that maybe you can't do 10 goals this year.
Yeah.
As much as you start saying, well, I can do this, and do this. And some goals may be related.
Yeah.
Whereas you accomplish steps on this goal, you also accomplish steps on other
I
ones.
like that.
You know, but also it helps with the prioritizing, you know,
Yeah.
because you start to understand that part of it. Well, hey, look, this is a smaller goal that I can achieve, but at the same token, it gets me closer to that larger goal.
And that's the thing I found too, is that when I would find this pocket of time, every now and again at work, I'll, you know, get a pleasant pocket of time that it's like, oh, I've done everything I was supposed to do for them. And I'm like, well, what would happen for me is I would say, okay, you have 30 minutes. What can you do with this 30 minutes? And then I would look at the list and I'm like, oh my God, it would be so overwhelming that I'd end up scrolling Instagram or doing something that fritters away the time. Instead of now, I have things in place where it's like, okay, you can send out 5 emails. If, you know, in this amount of time, you got everything all set up, so now I know what to do, because those are the priorities. Like getting the emails out, getting the packages out, you know, engaging with people related to SugarFit. Those are our priorities, you know, that's at the top of the list. So it made it easier to not, you know, so that planning and not getting overwhelmed. And then, which is our fourth reason why when it comes to goals, less is more, is it is so easy for me. And then maybe I'm just talking to me.
It's probably easy for a lot of people to get overwhelmed. I mean, meaning that, you know, if you do have a day job, you know, you owe your employer that time.
And so, energy.
Right.
So sometimes it's also energy.
I mean, however you want to look at it. I'm just saying that you owe that.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you have to kind of say, okay, I can't count that time because that belongs to my employer.
I've already sold it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's done. That's done. That's their time. And sometimes they might need more time.
Yeah.
You know, and you may have a type of job where they need that. So you have to also think about that part of it. So you have to figure out ways to maximize the time that you have. And so, you know, I think the way to really look at this is that there's a certain amount of, you know, planning is a big thing. That's one P. But the other P is patience. Because, you know, I mean, you have to remember that Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah.
And so...
and not the Great Wall of China either. Lord have mercy.
No, it was not built in a day. And so you've got to build this thing brick by brick.
Yeah.
And that could be daunting, especially if you start thinking about where you want to be.
Right.
You start thinking about your time and all the rest of this kind of stuff. But it's sort of like, you know, like I say, or eating an elephant, you have to do it one bite at a time, right? You gotta just approach it that way. I always look at it like running a marathon. You know, I mean, it's 26 miles, you know, and it's sort of like I can't think to myself, okay, I'm gonna get that done in an hour.
Right.
That's not going to happen.
No.
You know what I mean? It's just not. And so, you have to have that framework that I'm not going to be able to run this race in the first minute.
Right.
So that means you got to keep kind of storing stuff up, and that's the same way you got to look at it when you're doing this. It's sort of like, I know where I want to be, but I got to go at this thing incrementally. Got to have a plan, got to have a solid plan, and I got to just work at this thing incrementally, and understand I can't decide I'm going to run for president, do this and do this and do this all at the same time.
I was about to say, I thought about that. I was listening to another podcast, and the woman was talking about she plays ukulele and she plays guitar. And I'm thinking about, you know, at first I was kicking myself like, you know, you guys bought the ukulele, you know, years ago, and I messed with it for a little bit. And I said, I have to realize that is not a priority right now. It's not like maybe down the line it might not be. But instead of feeling guilty about it, say that is that in that list of our vision for this year? No, it's not.
Right.
So am I going to give time to it? Probably not. You know, and I got to feel fine with that and move on, you know, instead of it being more of a haunting type thing. It's like, no, when I'm ready for it, it will be there.
Right.
So I guess that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to prioritize those things. You know, it's that there are a billion and one things that you might want to do.
Doing, right? Even creatively. Because I always think, if it's creative, you should throw it in the mix.
Right.
still there are only so many hours in a day, and
Right.
even when we had 24 hours when we first shut down with the coronavirus,
Yeah.
I think they made a joke with Saturday Night Live about all the things that you thought, hey, I'll be able to write that book, and I'll be
Right.
able to, make pasta from scratch, and and then after a while it's like, really,
Right,
seriously.
and some people might not have ever got that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I never got that. So I mean, it was right.
It's just steady work
right,
for
right,
you.
right.
Right,
So I mean,
yeah.
because of the fact that you can work remotely.
Yeah.
I mean, and sometimes actually that's harder.
Yeah.
Because of the simple fact that you'll probably find that your meetings might start later and end later.
Yeah.
Just simply because people know you don't have commute time. So they
Yeah.
schedule meetings during that time.
And
now,
earlier, 'cause now you're
right.
up
That's what I'm saying. I mean, they know that because normally you might be on the road or you have
Yeah.
kids or whatever else. They know that now, so they schedule them earlier and they schedule them later.
Yeah.
And that just happens.
Yeah.
That's kind of part of where it kind of bites into that.
Yeah.
So yeah, and you have to remember, and this is probably going back to our previous episode, or maybe however it falls, but but you have to remember vacation time and all that kind of stuff. So as you're going through this stuff, you still have to have that time for you, because you got to remember that you want to enjoy this.
Right. And enjoy it, and then back to the taking care of your loved ones along the way.
Right.
And showing them that you love them. So,
Yes.
again, your 3 priorities: take care of yourself. You have to do that.
Yeah.
You can't be any good for anybody else if you're not taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
Taking care of your loved ones, because this time is short that you have with them. And then taking care of realizing your goals, because what is life for if you don't feel like there's any meaning to what you're doing?
Exactly. I mean, if you're not thinking about those things, they've got to be like priority number 1 for you. And that's the sacrifice of being a DIY rock star. Is that probably more than likely you're gonna have a day job.
Yeah.
And you gotta give these people their time, and that's just the way it is. I mean, that's part of it. And so what you're gonna do is gonna be after that. And so, but the good thing, the upside, is that you have artistic freedom.
Yes,
we
were talking about that.
Right.
I don't think I would want to let this go.
Yeah.
As far as being able to chart our own course and do our own topics the way we do them, and I don't think I'd ever want to give that up.
Yeah, I mean, and you don't have to, worry about that situation of the record company not believing your record and therefore not
telling
promoting
you
it,
what not,
and not doing this and not doing whatever,
We don't have to get Cardi B as a guest or Meg Thee Stallion as a guest on our show.
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to do all of that kind of stuff because of the simple fact that you're financing it yourself.
Yeah.
But what comes along with that is that you have to do it all.
Yes.
And you got to do it all in a very short period of time.
Yes, you got to be efficient. That's why the working smart, not hard. That was one of the big things for the vision board for the switchover. Is I'm constantly trying to think, how can I, like you were talking about before, where you do one activity and it hits 2 or 3 goals.
Right.
And then that was like that's a power pill. Like that's a win-win.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So that's what I've been trying to do with the we do the video and then we turn it into a podcast, strip the video out and do the podcast, and then I've been repurposing some of these and making blog posts, because if I flesh it out, and so that's power pack. Like, okay, look, we can do this.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
So what else is going on?
So we're still doing Sugar Fit, still
Yes.
on the promotion phase of that.
Yes.
Available Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon, your Bandcamp. So wherever you could kind of download music, you could always pick that up.
And then if you are into vinyl, and we do have a few people who are staunchly vinyl, we have a Patreon link where you can pre-order.
Right.
Contribute to the pre-order of the vinyl.
Yeah. And the CD is available. I know it's on Bandcamp, but it's also on Amazon. I'm not sure.
It is not on Amazon, but it is through CD Baby.
CD Baby.
So they have it. Yeah.
Just letting you know that.
Yeah, but they are limited release. So once they're gone, they're gone. So make sure you get it.
Okay.
If you dig the vibe, be sure to
subscribe.
We're wishing you love, peace, and
chicken grease.